ready for the second part of Samad and Maladin.
After a good night's sleep,
they both awoke to the jungle chorus, and after some breakfast, they continued their jungle education.
Maladin wanted to introduce Samad to the world of the Jahut, a tribe which carves intricate figurines which have a spirituality to protect and bless you throughout your life.
Maladin had encountered this other tribe through his many wanderings. The tribes in peninsular Malaysia seldom have conflict and try to avoid contact whenever possible. This ensures a peaceful existence, and the Orang Asli have become known as the friendly people. He said, "Today I'm going to show you how to carve a spirit, or bez. It will take a while, but with some perseverance, we'll create something nice." Maladin had found a suitable piece of timber and began to cut a basic shape into the wood. He began recalling his short stay with the Jahut and how similar they were to his own tribe. Maladin and Samad were of the Tamuan tribe, and although their tribe believed in jungle spirits, they did not encapsulate them in physical form as the Jahut did. The Jahut would normally use a heavy, dark wood to cover their statues, and in their village, the head carver would have a few tools, and his place of work would be covered in wood cuttings and shavings, as well as bits of fallen wood, from which he would create the most unusual figurines. There were some shaped like chickens, presumably as a good omen for hunting. There were others which had multiple heads and figurines to promote a healthy life and family. There were some rather disturbing carvings too, which depicted demons with huge fangs, probably inspired by the legendary jungle hunter, the Rimau, which is a tiger to you and I. The Orang Asli never really say the word Rimau or tiger, as it is meant to bring bad luck to the person saying it. They show a great deal of respect to the tiger and almost never hunt it. However, unfortunately, today some poachers exploit the Orang Asli by hiring them to trap these animals. In fact, the Jahut, according to Maladin, were a very creative and imaginative tribe, whom documented stories through carvings, which he thought a clever way of making sure the history of the tribe continued. He did find it a nice way to preserve and teach Samad about the jungle, and thought he could pass it on to his children when it was time to teach them about the jungle. He told Samad that there were about 18 different tribes in peninsular Malaysia, and each speaks a slightly varied dialect. They carved late into the night, and Samad listened intently as Maladin told his tales.
The next day, they awoke to the chorus of the jungle, and Maladin decided to show Samad how to make his time in the jungle a little sweeter.
Kita cari apa beli makan ya.
Madu.
Now amongst the jungle lay giants. Giant trees, locally known as tualang trees. These trees are favored by one of the jungle's busiest residents, the bees.
Madu.
Unfortunately, to get to this delicacy required a feat of daring and extreme balance. The only way to get this stuff was up. These jungle people worked out long ago a method of pegging the tree with small steps in order to walk up the tree. This practice still carries on today, but now, a lot of time, the wooden pegs have been replaced by metal ones. It seems it still remains an extremely precarious operation. Samad and Maladin had to climb up the tree to the upper outstretched branches in order to collect the hanging honeycombs which contain the honey. No easy feat, as these trees are regularly over 150 feet tall. Step by awkward step, Maladin and Samad made their way ever higher towards the canopy of the tree. Before them were the honeycombs. There was still the uncomfortable task of getting rid of the bees, and they did this by smoking them out. After a few painful stings, they both managed to grab what they needed and headed back down towards the jungle floor. Although they were tired and had a few stings, the reward was well worth it, as it is one of the jungle's greatest energy feasts. There are many different kinds of honeycombs in the jungle, but the best, in Malodin's experience, is the kind that hangs from the giant tualang trees. It was an important food source to find, as it was a commodity that could be carried around with them for the coming days. That night at the campfire, Samad told stories of the various jungle spirits. Some are there to protect you, and some are there to trip you up if you get too complacent and take the jungle for granted.
Sini kita dulu berdiam dekat hutan kan ada siamang kita tengok.
He told Samad how everything living in the jungle and all the animals were governed by the spirits, and even the smallest insects to the largest animal, the elephant, danced to the tune of the spirits. They dictate, for instance, the way a bird flies through the jungle. It could be a sign to stay still or a good day for hunting. Malodin went on to tell Samad the story of how the elephant came to respect the porcupine. Apparently, the elephant was aggravated by the porcupine when it crossed its path. Being the largest animal in the jungle, the elephant thought, "I'll just kick this little runt away." However, as he kicked the porcupine out of the way, one of its quills poked the soft part of the elephant's foot and caused it great discomfort. From that day onwards, all elephants give way to the porcupine. He also remembered a story about this almost mythical bird, which now is very scarce. It is a huge hornbill that has a tail more than the length of its body. The length from head to tail can exceed 7 feet, or 1.5 times Samad. The sighting of this bird brings good fortune and happy times, as its call ends in hysterical laughter. This bird is now very rare, as people used to hunt it for its magnificent bill or casque that is solid ivory, unlike the other hornbills. His voice changed to a tone of awe as he recalled to Samad his encounter with the white man of the jungle, a sight he'd only seen a few times. He sits up high in the jungle canopy, and his sighting is supposed to bring a great change for the tribe. In Malodin's instance, it coincided with his wife falling pregnant with Samad. That story made Samad giggle. Malodin said, "I know these are just stories, but the stories have proven themselves through our ancestors' history. And no matter how ridiculous they may sound, there is always an element of truth in the words."
Anyway, the white man of the jungle seems to not exist anymore, said Malodin. It must have been chased away. After a night of storytelling, they both got much needed sleep.